Hello, my name is Zerene Sangma, and I'm Solutions Architect in Retail Solutions Division within the Internet of Things group at Intel. Today, thank you for joining me today, as I would like to introduce you to Intel cloud-based manageability capability for retail and digital signage devices. And this can be easily applied to other IoT devices as well. Thank you for joining me today, and I appreciate your time. And the topic for today is secure deployment and remote management of large-scale IoT systems. Feel free to ask me questions, and I'll be checking the chat box to see if anyone has any questions or comments as we go along with the slides. These are the agenda items for today. We will briefly look at Intel Active Management Technology, then dive into the main topic of discussion, cloud-based manageability solution for retail and digital signage devices. Intel IoT devices with core processors are equipped with a hardware-based remote manageability capability. This technology is called the Intel Active Management Technology, in short, Intel AMT. This technology is built into our chipsets and can provide remote manageability regardless of the operating system state for a wired or wireless device. The ability to manage a device without a functioning operating system is termed as out-of-band manageability. And you see it on the screen there, out-of-band in short is OOB. And when we mention out-of-band, it applies to any devices where we can perform remote functions independent of the system, power, and OS state. Some of the key features of Intel AMT are out-of-band remote desktop. The first bullet, that's the remote remediation using Intel AMT KVM. KVM stands for Keyboard Video and Mouse Redirection. This is the ability to redirect video output to a remote management console and redirect keyboard input and mouse input from management console to the remote client device to remediate OS or pre-OS environment. Next is the hardware and software inventory. This feature allows to store asset inventory information in a non-volatile storage on the device, which is accessible out of band remotely. Having key asset information ahead of an on-site visit can expedite repair and replacement and reduce truck roll. The recovery feature utilizes something called the USB redirection that allows to remotely re-image operating system by redirecting USB device boot from management console to remote device. For devices that are constrained by network bandwidth, you can use the USB redirection feature to install a smaller pre-boot environment such as WinPE before going ahead with a full OS installation. The alarm clock feature allows scheduling of power events, waking up your device per your schedule that is applicable to the device application. The remote power control can remotely turn on and off devices as part of debug or routine maintenance. Alerting access provides key events and alerts out of band, as well as all AMT alerts are stored in a non-volatile storage that is available around the clock in out-of-band mode. These are some of the top features, and there are many more. With this, you can see there are key advantages of using hardware-based manageability as it is built into the hardware as well as it reduces the BOM cost. Intel AMT is an important ingredient of the Intel vPro brand for security and manageability, along with Intel Authenticate, Intel Trusted Execution Technology, and many more. For more information on Intel vPro, please visit our website at www.intel.com/vpro. So I hope you have received a brief idea on what Intel Active Management Technology is and what is the Intel vPro brand. Let's move on to the main topic of discussion: how we can deploy and manage these devices remotely from anywhere in the world. That is the cloud-based manageability for retail and digital signage devices. With this, I would like to introduce you to the capability called the Woodford Creek. This is a cloud-based device management solution that is scalable. It can be easily accessed It's easily used to manage tens and thousands of devices. It is bandwidth sensitive. It operates on the network where bandwidth is at premium. A lot of retail devices are in locations in retail where there is limited bandwidth, and in many cases they are used at using cellular providers to provide a network to these devices. Woodford Creek is developed looking at these network constraints. The solution is platform independent. It supports Windows, Linux, Android, and the other an OS 10 architecture. It has a small device footprint, and so we can use Woodford Creek solution on Galileo, Edison, and Minnow board that it has been tested on. This is a schedulable solution where it provides simple or complex scheduling of common device management functions, such as reboot, shutdown, power off, on, file delivery, script, or executing a script. Woodford Creek is based on a very simple idea that all devices are accessible by web. The two main ingredients or the two main components of Woodford Creek is the client and the server component. The Woodford Creek server is responsible for providing the resources and the necessary interfaces for cloud-based infrastructure to manage devices. The main server ingredients are the manageability server for discovering and managing devices, the web-based management console that can be loaded from any device that has access to server using IE or a Chrome browser, as well as the tools to access admin GUI and database. The client component of Woodford Creek includes a client agent that interacts with Intel AMT drivers where applicable. The agent runs on an IoT device that is to be managed. Woodford Creek is a scalable solution. It can manage a Intel AMT device as well as devices that do not have the Intel AMT capability. The following are identified as the key usages for Woodford Creek: scheduling of common device management functions, remote desktop, remote terminal access, remote file access, remote web access, power control, and general monitoring. We'll be looking at each of these usages one by one. First up is the management and control. As I mentioned, Woodford Creek provides the functions to remotely manage devices. Some of the key features of the manageability of these devices are the monitoring the power state. With this feature, you can monitor the current power state of the device. Even if the device is in sleep state, say S5, which is when the device is turned off, we can still get the current device state. The remote power control of all power states supported by the device. This essentially allows an admin to remotely power on and off the device. Some of the key use cases in this would be, for example, if you would like to power off the device when it is not being used for energy conservation, or if you like to turn on the device when it is in sleep, any of the sleep states, in order to perform an important activity such as software update. The Wake on LAN support is an industry standard solution to send a magic packet to wake up a device. Woodford Creek provides a console where all these industry solutions can be. Industry standard solutions are available in one GUI, in one console. Browsing the OS type and version, the Woodford Creek agent that runs on the client is able to interact with the OS and gather relevant data such as the type of OS and the version. And this a typical use case for this would be to perform routine maintenance, to perform software updates where the OS type and version is required to apply the right updates. Browsing the historical data, since all the events are logged in a event monitor log, the event monitor log is accessible and even out of band. Using this information, one can derive the amount of time the device was asleep, the amount of time when the device was active, And using browsing the historical data can provide the telemetry on the device, which can later be used for some analytics purpose as what is the duration the device was active or asleep. Lights out management using Intel vPro. Woodford Creek also extends support of the managing the devices with Intel vPro. I mentioned Intel vPro is a brand for security manageability, which is the key Intel active management technology. With this solution, with Woodford Creek and AMT, you can monitor the Intel vPro computers in powered off and sleep states. It helps to solve big deployment problems, discovering of devices that are AMT compliant, the credentials that needs to be applied to access these devices in a secure manner, remote access, and setup and configuration of the devices as they're available in field. The asset management using Intel vPro with Woodford Creek allows to remotely access the BIOS, boot, and repair operating system issues. There is a question on the bridge that says remote deployments of upgrades. Could you elaborate the question, please? Yes, to elaborate on the question, will Woodford Creek support upgrading application or firmware on edge device, MCU, or MPU? Yes, one of the use cases that can be applied with Woodford Creek is adding those devices to the Woodford Creek infrastructure. Once these devices are added, and if they have Intel active management technology capability, then you can use the keyboard, video, and mouse redirection or USB redirection feature to upgrade the firmware. And for the application or at the software level, you can use the inbound method to perform the upgrade for a software. As we wait, let's move on to the next slide. The next usage is scheduling. For a typical retail environment, scheduling is key, where the devices are used 24/7 and there are different operators. Scheduling is key to schedule important activities during period of downtime when there are less users, or it may even be tied to when the network signal is available. And in such use cases, scheduling can be a very useful feature to provide. With Woodford Creek, we support scheduling any time of the week, any time of the day, and it supports basic or recurring scheduling of commands such as file delivery. This can be, you can think of it as a use case where a new media content is to be displayed on a digital sign, and so delivery of a new media file. Script or application execution, such as a software update. A tool can be applied along with the script to perform a software update for maintenance purpose. Scheduled reboot event can be a part of a routine maintenance. Power off when the device is not being used. When there is a typical downtime of the device, then schedule a power off for those time. Power on can be used as scheduling option to power the device in order to execute an important activity such as a software update. And scheduling a sleep activity where the device can be put to standby or hibernate mode for energy conservation use case. And when applicable, you can have another schedule to turn on the device when there are more active users expected. The next is the web remote desktop use case. This is a remote desktop solution, which is very similar to the remote desktop solution that you would see in a Windows operating system. And this is a web-based environment, and so it does not require a application to be installed. It just requires a browser that is needed to start a remote desktop solution on a remote device. This is a typical keyboard, video, and mouse redirection where the video output of the device is seen on the management console, and the keyboard and mouse input of the management console device is pushed to the client that is to be managed. This is entirely JavaScript based and requires a HTML5 supported browser. We support the Woodfork a remote desktop solution on both Windows and for Linux operating systems. It works through proxies and can also support devices like Apple iPad, the tablets. This is a in-band solution, and where there is Intel Active Management technology, this web-based remote desktop is also applicable for managing active management device technology devices, and which is OS independent. So in this case, if there is no operating system available, you would be able to perform remote desktop. It will be of a BIOS setup menu or of a pre-OS environment. Let me see if there's a question on the chat. So the next question is, you mentioned Intel Active Management technology that needs to be installed on the device. What does that mean? Is there a software agent that needs to be deployed on these devices? The Active Management technology is a hardware solution that is available in the hardware. However, it is needed that the OEM during the design phase provide a hardware that supports the active management technology. On devices that already supports, you would look for a Intel vPro device sticker on the device, which would, or from OEM, you would get a device that supports vPro or is vPro capable, which means the hardware capability is available. On the software side, we provide from Intel a driver that supports the active management technology APIs and is able to interact and execute command and issue commands to the hardware and the firmware that is on the device. And so there are two main components of AMT. One is the hardware that needs to support this capability, and the other is the software. On the Woodfork, in order to support AMT, we provide an agent that works with the Intel AMT driver to support the AMT capability from end-to-end perspective. Hope this clarifies your question. After this event, when I share the slide, I will add a link for more information on the active management technology and how it can be deployed for further reading. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. The next is the Woodfork also provides a web terminal, web-based terminal. So think of it as a typical serial emulator terminal service client where we can issue remote commands using the terminal services. Woodfork supports both Linux and Windows operating system, and this is a fast and a low overhead method of remotely managing and for remote management and diagnostic. Remote file access. This is a solution. This is an inbound solution. When an operating system is available on the device, the Woodfork agent is able to provide a file explorer capability to browse the file system on the remote device. This is a web-based solution, and what the key features through this web-based file manager is uploading and downloading files, copying, moving, and deleting files, removing, making folder changes, and also it provides the ability to search file and folders typical to how you would execute on the Windows File Explorer. Remote web access. This solution within the Woodfork allows to look at the various capabilities on the Intel Active Management technology. What you're seeing on the browser is a AMT web UI, and this web UI can be loaded using the Woodfork GUI. And a typical scenario or a typical items that are seen on the Intel AMT web UI is the system information, the processor and memory and disk information. The information that is available to the AMT is what is populated by the OEM or the device equipment provider. And once this information is populated by the OEM, AMT is able to pull and gather the right hardware or the firmware related information. The web UI is all the pages are transferred over HTTPS, so it utilizes the secure method of transferring information and making it available over the web interface. It also can access the Intel vPro web pages that is available through the AMT web UI, and no network changes are required. The next is a web console, which is designed for tablets and smartphones. So what you're seeing on the screen is the different various Woodford Creek web UI, whether you're an IT admin that performs most of their management operations over a pager, over a phone, over a tablet, or a laptop, or any device. What you see is that you're able to, using a simple browser like Chrome or Internet Explorer browser, you can reach to the Woodford Creek server that'll be hosted on the cloud, and be able to browse to the devices that are in your infrastructure and manage the features that are available through the web console are what we spoke about in the previous slides, like the file sharing, remote management, remote power control, remote BIOS, and remote desktop for diagnostic purpose. In summary, Woodford Creek is a cloud-based device management solution to deploy and manage large-scale IoT devices. It provides a web-based console which can be loaded from any device for an IT admin to monitor and manage IoT devices. Hope this short introduction on Woodford Creek gives you an idea on the capability that is available on the Intel hardware, and the work we are doing to make it easily accessible and deployed for our customers in field. Yes, so the current, there's a question by Kuriliak. Does Woodford Creek provide vulnerability assessment functionality? The current version of Woodford Creek is being updated to assess if there's a known vulnerability, then it's able to assess the firmware that is on the device and the type of firmware that is in the device, and assess if there's any vulnerability that has been introduced. And so, for example, with the recent vulnerability that was known, Woodford Creek is able to assess those and provide guidance on the next steps. I will share the slide with our admin, and I will add references for more information on Intel Active Management Technology. So you can get the information you need. Thanks everyone for listening. I appreciate your time, and hope to hear from you also. Thank you.